Welcome back to Gero Dynamics. Okay, so also on this Valentine's Day weekend, I saw this back on Thursday, was Captain America. All right, so let's talk about it. Captain America obviously it's part of the MCU. Captain America Brave New World, it's kind of Captain America 4, but I think they're going to go with like naming conventions like this instead. Obviously, Anthony Mackie has taken over the role of Captain America. He is still Sam Wilson, but he is now the new Captain America. He was in there. They had a TV series with him in it, and then they decided to go ahead and make a movie. And I think they're probably going to make another one after the Avengers movies, or in between the Avengers movies, something like that. So it looks like we're probably going to get some more of Anthony Mackie as Sam Wilson as Captain America. I don't mind this. I know some people, they want Chris Evans. That's who they want. They don't want Sam Wilson, or at least they want a new Steve Rogers, right? Recast Steve Rogers, or multiverse Steve Rogers, or something. That Sam Wilson is a great Falcon, but not so much as Captain America. In part because he doesn't have like the super soldier serum. He's not as strong. Has to do things different ways. Some people don't like that, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so Anthony Mackie is Sam Wilson. Harrison Ford has taken over the role of Thaddeus Ross due to the previous actor passing away. Was it William Hurt? Bill Hurt? William Hurt? Anyways. And in this, he is President Thaddeus Ross, so he has become the president in the MCU. We let's do the usual stuff. You guys know where Anthony Mackie is from, but let's talk about it a little bit. He was in the Hurt Locker. He was in, all the MCU movies, Captain America, Civil War, those sorts of things. He was in the Adjustment Bureau. He was actually pretty good in that. A movie that I saw recently with him in it was, where'd it go? Was it Elevation? Oh, Synchronic. He was really good in Synchronic. So you see him outside of the MCU. He does great work. He's in that the TV series Twisted Metal, but I haven't really watched that. So, anyways, good stuff. He's good in the movie. I really enjoy him in the role. He plays it pretty much exactly how you would expect and how it should be played. I enjoyed it. Harrison Ford, of course, he's been around forever. He was in Star Wars movies, Indiana Jones movies. He was in a lot of 80s and early 90s movies like The Witness and The Fugitive. Um, let's see, more recently, he was in The Call of the Wild. That's a TV series. Blade Runner 2049, he was in that for, And then anything else I want to touch on? The original Blade Runner, of course. He was in Expendables 3, Anchorman 2, The Legend Continues. He does a lot of cameo roles, kind of, too. So, he's fun to get in your movies. Big name, been going for since the 70s, good stuff. Anyways, you guys know who he is. Danny Ramirez plays Joaquin Torres, so he's back from the series. He was in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. He has taken over the role of Falcon. He was in a movie called Assassination Nation. He was in a movie called No Exit, Top Gun Maverick. So a lot of people probably recognize him from Top Gun Maverick. Anything else? Black Mirror. He was in an episode of Black Mirror. Let's see. He was in an episode of Tales of the Walking Dead. All right. But relatively new actor, doing good stuff. I enjoyed his part in this too. He'll be the Falcon moving forward in the MCU, so we'll see him again. All right. Next, Shira Haas plays Ruth Bat Sarat. Let me see. Is that what it is? Ruth Bat Saraf. Is a character from the comics, is my understanding, is a kind of like a Black Widow, but Israeli Black Widow. Um, they don't really go into that too much. I mean, you do see her, taking out a bunch of people, so you know she has skills. She is also the main security officer for the for President Thaddeus Ross. She's fine. It's kind of a weird role. Doesn't really stand out too much and isn't super exciting. And she's tiny, so there's that. What else has she been in? She was in Unorthodox. Oh, that was a TV miniseries. A movie called Broken Mirrors. Anything else to touch on? Nothing standing out to me. All right. Anyways, she was fine. I mean, maybe we'll see her again. Maybe they'll carry the character over. Maybe not. We'll see. All right. Carl Lumbly came back as Isaiah Bradley. He was great. He really, really plays the role like perfectly. And I enjoy his work from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then now this. I don't know if he'll carry forward to other MCU movies, but he could. He is a super soldier, just an older one. What else has he been in? He's been an actor going back to the, is it just the 80s or before? Maybe before. 70s technically. He had a couple of late 70s roles. Um, but yeah, was he in Caveman? He sure was. He was in the movie Caveman. That's one of my favorite movies from when I was a kid. As weird as that is, with Ringo Starr, it's perverted a little bit. All right. Anyways, so he was in Caveman. What do they say are his big movies? They say Adventures of Buckaroo Bonanza, Alias, the TV series Alias. He was in Men of Honor, A Cure for Wellness. Okay. Recently, he was in The Life of Chuck. He was in The Fall of the House of Usher. That's yeah, that was good. I remember him in that. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Good actor, solid actor. I kind of hope we see him again, but that's kind of up in the air. All right. Tim Blake Nelson comes back as Samuel Stearns, who is also known as the leader. Um, it's weird about this movie is that it's kind of like a sequel to Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but also a sequel to the Incredible Hulk movie that had Edward Norton as Incredible Hulk, or as Bruce Banner turning into the Incredible Hulk, from 2008. So it's like a sequel of that almost, which is really weird. So that's where he came from. He was Samuel Stearns in that Incredible Hulk movie, and in this he's the leader. He's got kind of like a weird like brain look to him. He kind of looks comic accurate, but not really. Um, there's definitely some questionable CGI in this movie. That seems to be the typical story for these Marvel movies lately. The less CGI, the better, because their CGI has not been great recently. Same can be said for how the leader looks. It's not great. What else might you know? Not Samuel Stearns. That was his character. Tim Blake Nelson. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? That's probably where a lot of people know him from. Some people know him from The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, Leaves of Grass. More recently, he was in Greedy People, Bang Bang, The Invisibles. But he is a character actor that's been in tons of stuff that you've seen him in. um, Anything else that I want to touch on real quick? No, he's just been in a ton of stuff. You'll recognize him. All right, next. Because there's a lot of actors that I kind of want to get to, so I'm just kind of going pretty quickly through them. Of course, Giancarlo Esposito is in this. He has taken over the role of Sidewinder. So when I say that, Sidewinder has never been in the MCU before, but I think originally the role was being played by Seth Rollins, the professional wrestler. I think that's who he's playing. He was playing someone from the Serpent Society, and I think he was playing Sidewinder. And I think they decided to replace him with Giancarlo Esposito, which obviously is an upgrade in acting, right? Because Giancarlo is an amazing actor. But I'm kind of bummed because, I like wrestling and I like Seth Rollins, and I hope he gets another shot at Hollywood. But maybe they threw him in the deep end too soon, or the character just wasn't working in that way. They had to do a lot of rewrites to this movie, a lot of reshoots, and this was part of that. Where do you know him from? Tons of stuff. I've talked about him in other movie reviews. Breaking Bad, The Jungle Book, Do the Right Thing, The Usual Suspects. More recently, the more recent or more recently, famously from where'd it go? Dang, he's done a ton of stuff. They've got this The Mandalorian, right? Yeah. Anyways, I'm not seeing that. That's Oh, there it is. The Mandalorian. I passed right past it. Okay. He was in Maxine. That's where I reviewed him from recently. Also, Megalopolis. I reviewed him from recently. He was in The Boys. He was in, like I said, Better Call Saul, Mandalorian, Euphoria. He's just been in just a massive amount of stuff. He was in Westworld, Creep Show, Maze Runner, The Death Cure, Better Call Saul. I said that already. Maze Runner. Oh, so he was in the whole Maze Runner series. I'm trying to remember. He was in the Breaking Bad. That's right. He started not started. His career's gone way back before that. But he was in Breaking Bad and then went on to become the same character in Better Call Saul. All right. This guy's career has been going on since the 70s. Oh, wow. He did a short back in 1970, just a voice. Interesting. But then didn't do anything else until like 79. So that's interesting. But yeah, he's been doing tons of stuff. You'll see like movies where he's like what is it, a side actor? What's that word where it's like a not like a bit part, but basically like he's an extra in the background. You'll see it, and like he's standing there, and you're like, oh, that guy. Sesame Street. Let's see. Trying to remember like one of the big ones where he was like kind of Mo Better Blues. Anyways, great actor. I enjoy his work. I like seeing him show up. Kind of wish he had gotten like a bigger role than Sidewinder, but it is what it is. All right, anybody else I want to touch on before I move on here? Nah, that's good enough. Good enough. Well, no, Takahiro Hira is the Prime Minister of Japan. Prime Minister Ozaki. And do we know him from any? He was in that Shogun series, which I haven't watched yet. I need to. I recognized him from Snake Eyes. Yeah, he's been in a ton of stuff too. All right, moving right along. So let's just talk about it a little bit. I think the problem with MCU movies these days is that just the previous quality that MCU had, the hype that it had, the excitement that anybody had when there was a new one coming out. It was all connected. The stories were all connected, and just everybody just it was like a cultural phenomenon, right? And you can't live up to that anymore. They just can't. And so people always talk about how these movies are failing this, failing that. It was a solid movie. If you had just gone to this movie and it had nothing to do with the MCU and it was just a movie, it would have been fine. It was a fine action movie. They spent way too much on it. They rewrote it and reshot it way too many times. The story was a little convoluted because of that. There was just too much that they needed to shove in to try to, like, satisfy other movies that are being made. It just it's just too much, right? And so I think the MCU is going to be greatly benefited by doing a couple of things. Um, One, less CGI. Just get your budgets, like, reduce your budgets, less CGI, more solid action, more real effects, not special effects, not CGI. Let's go ahead and, like, kind of tone it back down a little bit because the CGI has been terrible and it just isn't helping and it's just costing so much money. Um, we need to get away from the Avengers is part of it too. If we can get away from the Avengers, then it's not so, like, weighted by all the stuff that's happened before and that's going to happen after. Let's focus on the Midnight Suns, focus on the X-Men, focus on the Fantastic Four. MCU is going to be fine. They just need to make some changes. But they're going to finish up this phase and get through all these Avengers and Doom movies, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. It won't be as good as obviously the Infinity War, but hopefully we can go in and we can have a good time. It's not going to make us feel the same way that those original well, not the original, but those Avengers movies like Avenger, Infinity War, and those sorts of things made us feel. And if you remember, there were bad movies back then too, and they just happened to be successful because they were part of this successful franchise. And that's what they're continuing to try to do, but really they just need to move on from that because it's just not a successful franchise as much anymore. The Miss Marvel movie, Captain Marvel movie, the original one, was right in between the two Infinity War movies. So everybody went and watched it, but it wasn't a great movie. And there were hit and misses throughout that whole cycle. Like even like one or two of the Iron Man movies weren't great. Come on, just be honest, they weren't. So we run into that with these two, and hopefully we can discover new stuff about the MCU and start having a good time again. My preference would be to focus on the Midnight Suns. I think that's going to be great. But they just keep dragging their feet and having to restart Blade over and over again. And they just need to get there, Blade, Midnight Suns, Ghost Rider, pull in Doctor Strange, get the Werewolf by Night character back in there. Because that was great, that special feature. I just want to see more of that. Anyways, that's my bias. But I went on a tangent. Captain America, I enjoyed it. Go see it in the theater if you get the chance because, it's obviously better in the theater. It's not the best Marvel movie you've ever seen. It's not the best action movie you've ever seen. But it is a good movie. I enjoyed it. Don't let people tell you that it's terrible just because, they want to say it. Because it's fun and cool to say things are terrible nowadays. But also don't go in there with expectations over your head because it's not going to meet them. All right, everybody, take care. Have a good day.